As the holidays approach us, specifically Christmas, we need to remember what Christmas is all about. It's not about running down that old lady during Black Friday shopping. It's also not about buying a gift card just because you feel obligated to get it for somebody who you couldn't give a shit about. It's about a child that came to a world that was being destroyed, a child that was about resurrection and resurrecting that world. Very similar to the way the child from The Mandalorian has done with Star Wars. He came to a world that was being destroyed, and he's going to bring it back together, and he's about resurrecting that world. So today we're going to look at The Child by Sideshow Collectibles. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the Extreme channel. If you're new here, my name's Mr. X. We do tons of high-end collectibles. And here we have another collectible. This is The Child from The Mandalorian. This is made by Sideshow Collectibles. It's a life-size version. Now we're going to do stuff a little bit out of order today, and you're going to see why. First, I just want to do the assembly right here and now for you guys. Pretty easy. We usually do it during design, but on the bottom, he does have a keyhole. That's what we call them. Then a key on this base. But as you can see, you can also display him without it, which is the way that I plan to. So it is pretty tight, and you want to be careful because one thing I keep finding is I keep finding all the free candy that is stuck inside of his robes. This is like the 6th one. And if you didn't know that, that's what this stuff is. It's candy, so go ahead and try some. Then he has this little toy, the knob. And I believe this goes in his left hand. It's a little magnet. Slips right in.
That's what she said.
So there he is in all of his glory. Now, if you've tuned into this video, I assume you know who this is, or you think you know who this is. This is called The Child. This is called Baby Yoda. This is from a brand new series on Disney Plus. Relatively new, I guess. It came out about, I want to say 6 months ago, and it's called The Mandalorian. It's about the story of a Mandalorian, similar to like what Boba Fett was in the original Star Wars trilogy. And during his travels, he runs into this child that he is actually supposed to kill, or supposed to take in for a bounty, and he ends up keeping it, maybe as a pet, maybe as an adopted son, who knows. Now, I watched all The Mandalorian when it first came out, and I am a big multitasker, so usually I'm editing videos while I'm watching and then answering emails, so I didn't really pay much attention, and I didn't see what all the rave was. I didn't think it was that good. However, I knew this piece was coming in, and just recently, Mandalorian Season 2 premiered, which I haven't watched yet. And I was on a trip, so I said, you know what, let me download the episodes and watch it one more time. Now I see what it's about. I actually quite enjoyed it when I actually paid attention. I wonder how many other movies I didn't like because I wasn't paying attention. See that? Looked like he was pregnant or something. That would have been scary. So today we're going to do a full review like we traditionally do on him. There's not a lot of different parts, so it's not going to take very long. But let's go ahead and kick it off. Like I said, this is by Sideshow Collectibles, and I can't tell you how many they made. Usually on the bottom of, this is considered a statue, on the bottom of statues, they write the ES or the edition size. Here they wrote limited edition, which is, in my opinion, a way to cover up, we're not going to tell you how many tens of thousands we made, because then the resale value for this will go in the shitter. And I had no intentions on buying this. I actually do have one other life-size Star Wars figure. You can actually check it out in this video right here. It has all my other Star Wars collectibles. I've added a few since then, but it has a life-size Han Solo in Carbonite. Well, I don't think he's going to look really good right next to him because I'd have to actually place him on the floor. I'm undecided where I'm going to put him in my collection. Now, also, Hot Toys, who's a competitor with Sideshow and is also distributed by Sideshow, so certainly there's a little bit of conflict of interest in there, they are coming out with their own version of this piece. Now, I haven't really looked at pictures because I didn't consider buying it because on day one I jumped on the hype train to PO this guy, but I do know it has some switch-out pieces, and I'm sure there's going to be tons of videos out there that compare that one to this one when that one is finally released. So let's start out with the first category we review everything with. It's concept, and this is as simplistic as hell. But we're still going to look at it and see if it's good or bad. The base, I'm assuming this is Mando's ship. It looks like it a lot of hints that it's kind of a spaceship type base with some metallic parts on the bottom. And then as you move up, he is fully clothed, which obviously you don't see him nude in the movie, nor would we want to. A Yoda child, we assume this is a Yoda species, is probably really nasty nude. But he's sitting there in a museum pose. He is fully clothed, he's fully warm. He has his little toy, as you saw, in his right hand that you can display with or without. And he is looking up, which he's always looking up, because generally when he's walking in the movie, everybody is taller than him. And he has that same cute expression. One of the reasons that this piece became so popular, and honestly, I think one of the reasons Mandalorian became so popular is because people love this creature, whether they had any ties to Star Wars or not. And it's interesting too, while we assume this is the same species as Yoda, we don't know. Maybe he could be a descendant of Yoda. He does use the Force, because let's face it, Yoda was over 900 years old. He definitely knocked some boots sometime in those 900 years. I don't care what the rules of the Jedi were, Yoda, who we assume is a male, must have gotten a little bit lonely in those 900 years and made some loving. So again, we don't know if this child is his. I do think in Season 2 they're going to start revealing more, because they kind of left Season 1 where they're looking for his species on how to raise him or take care of him. So I think the concept is very simple. It doesn't need to be very elaborate by any means. The fact that he's looking up, I think, is fantastic. I think they captured the likeness really, really well. And I think that's where we really look at this concept, is the likeness done well. So we'll do a few more close-up video where you'll see that, but it's done great. So I think it's a 4 out of 5. They tied in Mando's ship, they got his little toy, they have his robes, and the likeness is done well. Now, as we dive into design, one thing I do want to say about the likeness is this is the likeness of a CGI character. So you have to remember, while I said the likeness is done well, some people are going to disagree with me. Design, we talk about a few different things. We talk about the packaging. Let's start with that. So here's the outside shipper box that it came in, very standard. Then the art box actually had two pieces to it. One was kind of this outer layer, which Hot Toys does a lot. So it was interesting that they decided to do this, Sideshow did. And it covered up the actual art box, which has a lot of cool things on it. Has Mando and the child kind of walking, and then him playing with the child, or maybe waving his finger at it, telling him a lesson. And then this one, him carrying the child away. And on the side, the child when he was playing with those kids on that planet. So a lot of scenes from The Mandalorian, which I actually like. I'm not huge into art boxes, but I think it's nice that it kind of goes along with that. Inside the art box was a foam box as usual. Here is the only layer that it had. It was held together by tape. Sideshow hasn't gone with straps yet, and they gave you a little card, which I never bothered to read. It says how to love your child or something like that. 3 different pieces, as you saw. I love the fact that you can display it without his toy. You can display it without the base, which is the way that I plan to. However, when he's rotating on this, I just want to make sure he's actually secure. So while it's not very elaborate by any means, I think the design's good. Let's get the dimensions on him really quick. Sorry, I had to get the tape measure from the bedroom. So the diameter of his base, about 9 inches or so. And he is about 15, almost 16 inches. The base itself is just under 2 inches. So without the base, you're looking at 14 inches, which many people would be jealous of. So design, it's very good. It's a 3 out of 5. And if this is your first time tuning in, why is a 3 out of 5 a very good score? That's because when you pay a lot of money, and this was damn near $300, I think it was a little bit more than that, we'll talk about it in value, you expect it to be good. So let's do a quick video of the paint and sculpt of this piece. As you see, quite a bit of it isn't showing, so it's about the material. We call this mixed media, which kind of stands for fabric or clothing, instead of sculpting it in there. And I think that was appropriate on this piece. It looks like if you remove it, it's just a plain green body underneath, which is no big deal because I don't plan on undressing him, even though some of you sickos might. But let's take a look. So this will probably be one of the shortest video close-ups I've ever done, both figuratively and literally, because he is a short guy. But as I said, the base reminds me of Mando's ship. I think that's kind of the effect and look they were going for. Very clean paint. It's a mix between copper and black, and then almost a little bit of a hint of gold in there, depending on certain lighting. That may be in my imagination. A few circuit boards on the top, or kind of panels. His clothing looks fantastic, very high quality. It almost looks like a winter coat I would buy. I do live in the mountains, so yeah, definitely would consider that. The material is very strong, very normal, and I like how it kind of looks like it was patched together because that's how the clothing of the time was, whenever this was, 6-8 AVB or after whatever. You know, a big question for a lot of people is when does Mandalorian take place? It takes place like 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So there's this toy. This was originally, I believe, a knob on Mando's ship. Now, he has these great long nails, just like Yoda did. Look great, pointed. I think they almost used a translucent resin and really darkened it in with paint. May not be. Hard to tell. But looking at his skin tone, not only on his hands but his head, I think they did a nice job. The one exception, especially under light, he has a lot of pink, which we'll come back to that. But he has these ridges in his head and hair, which doesn't look too bad, as we're going to talk about, coming out of his ears and the top of his head. You know, obviously that's got to be a concern for a child to already start showing male pattern baldness. But that red, I think, is a little too much. I think they went a little overboard on that, even though it is evident in the movie. It's almost a different color red in between his face. That's more of a purple around his eyes and on his cheeks and around his lips than a red in his ears. But the sculpt on this, like I said, the likeness is fantastic. These huge eyes look really good. This is very lifelike. They did a really nice job. Very impressed. And just here's what the rest of the body looks like to kind of give you an idea. For you sickos, don't undress him. So that's really it on this piece. But I think a pretty decent amount of very, very good stuff. Very impressed with the production quality as well as the original concept. Paint job's very clean, not only on the base. I like a lot of the colors they use. Like I said, a little bit too much red for me in the cheeks and the ears, even though that kind of was apparent in the TV show. I think the material is fantastic. Very high quality on the material. The hair coming out of him isn't kind of gross looking like the hair coming out of my ears sometimes. You know, like once you get like 40, it just starts to grow overnight and you don't even know it's there, and then you wonder how long you've been sporting it without anybody telling you. So I think they did a fantastic job on both the paint and sculpt. Usually I grade them separately, but I'll kind of lump them together as a 4 out of 5. Very nicely done, especially with a piece that we're going to assume has a massive production line. I mean, you're thinking they're probably going to make 10,000 of these. I think the most Sideshow has ever done is 7,000 or 8,000 on a piece, but I think this one will actually top it, especially if season 2 of The Mandalorian is really hot. So now let's get into the value of this piece. So I was wrong. He wasn't $300. He was $375 plus shipping. It was a pretty small box. I don't even look at shipping prices anymore. You can't control them. But so you're over $400 all in for this piece. That's a lot of money, even though he is the same size as a traditional 1/4 scale piece. A little bit smaller than some of these other throne pieces, but a standard premium format. So that's not really bad, and the quality's done really well. However, the edition size, as I said, is through the roof. I think these will be for sale on Sideshow and retailers' website for a long, long time. There's not an exclusive version. There is a competitor coming out who does great movie pieces and great likenesses, and that's going to have more options. So I think the value is a 2 out of 5 on this piece. If there wasn't a competitor, I think that'd raise it up to a 3 out of 5. But with an unknown edition size and some other factors, I can't rate it any higher. So does this have the X factor? Now that's not a cumulative score, but in the end, is this one of my most wow statues I've ever owned, which is over 500? No, it's not. I do like it a lot, though. I really, really like this piece. I definitely am going to find a spot for it. Definitely going to keep it. I think it's a 4 out of 5. And I definitely think that if Mando Season 2 sucks, that it would actually lower it to a 3 out of 5. But since I just watched a whole Season 1 kind of for the first time and I really enjoyed it, I think that I'm really having ties to this piece, because that definitely factors in as well. As a thank you to you guys, we're giving away these 2 exclusive Mortal Kombat statues from Pop Culture Shock Toys. We've already given away this Sub-Zero. It's being shipped to the winner of the 15,000 sub giveaway. Up for grabs at 17,500 subs is this exclusive Scorpion statue. First thing you need to do is make sure you've liked this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Second thing is, we are going to pick random videos. This is one of those random videos, and insert this segment somewhere. You need to make sure you comment on that video. We are going to pick a random comment from one of said videos, and you will be the winner of this Scorpion statue. So hey, if you're new here and you like stuff like this, we do daily content launched every single day about high-end collectibles, so make sure to hit that Mr. X logo and subscribe to the channel with that bell notification, or check out some of these other pieces from Sideshow Collectibles until tomorrow's video. Take care of yourself.